face of one boy. And he became unhappy, and then a fight started. So I jumped over to try to stop the fight, and then at the same time there were kids coming in the hallway saying, "Hello!" And I looked around, and then there was another fight on the other side. So if you can stop time, I remember looking around thinking, why am I here? It's a good question. I was very disappointed, very depressed at the end of the day. I went home, it was a dark, rainy day, and I was feeling very defeated as an English teacher. Only 3 months before, I was very optimistic. I could convince these children that English was wonderful, and they were going to learn all these great things from me. And I learned very quickly that teaching is extremely difficult. So I should back up to tell you how I got there, actually. I grew up in a really normal family. I have two brothers, one sister. I grew up in a town about the size of Glubinski, 30,000 people, in Washington State. And that's not Washington, the capital, but the other Washington State on the West Coast. I grew up with my grandparents around me. I think our town looks very Americana. Big trees, nice houses, farmers, a university, very, very safe place. And I'd never been abroad. I went to Canada once, but us and the Canadians share a lot in common, so I don't know if I count that. And I wanted to live abroad. I didn't want to go travel, I wanted to actually live and work with people. So I joined the Peace Corps. You might be familiar with this program. It used to be in Russia many years ago. And I became an English teacher as part of the faculty at this small school, Kiril Metodi Uchilište speaker program. If they have contact with a native speaker, they will learn. It's more complicated than that. It's much more complicated. But that English teaching experience changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my career. It opened my eyes to many new things. But it mostly opened my eyes to how difficult your job is. It's very difficult. So when I say I understand too well. But the winter continued in Zavod. More difficulties. I tried to be creative. I tried to be more disciplined. My wife was a teacher in the same town, but before me. I replaced her as a volunteer. And the number one advice she said, you need to be strict, and you need to not let them call you by your first name, Matt. And being as wise as I am, I didn't listen to her. I wanted to be the cool teacher. And now I understand why you need to have students call you Mr. and Ms. To command respect, because they saw me more as a playmate and somebody to have fun with, rather than just learn English. And so again, I struggled, I tried, the winter was long, this town was very small and dark, but it got better. And every once in a while I'd have a success or two. One of the successes was a summer program that my wife actually created. And it was called Klub Veselou Lyato, which was Happy Summer Camp in Bulgarian. And it was a chance where kids got to do activities. And we used a lot of English, but that wasn't the focal point. But they got to play sports like baseball. We taught them about did some health issue stuff. We had them do pottery and crafts. And the kids, again, showed their love and were really very happy. And I felt very fortunate that things were going to change into the fall. When I returned in the fall, it was the same thing again. I was fighting kids to stay still, to listen, to make it relevant to many of these children some of whom did not have any plans to leave the region. They lived in a small town, they're always going to live in a small town. Why should I learn English? And after a year and a half, I didn't have a good reason. I didn't have a good answer for them. But I figured I should try, just keep trying, keep trying. And one of the only lessons I think that actually had an impact on them, or at least I saw an instant impact, was using multimedia, was using films. And at the time, the movie Shrek 2 was out, and I got the film. I think someone sent it to me from the United States. And I decided to do a whole lesson the whole week on that. And I said, we'll watch a clip of the movie for an entire day. They meet with our consul general personally. They meet with all our American staff to find out what they do. We open their doors, they can see everything. They find out what our diplomatic mission is in Russia. So on one hand, they get exposure to diplomacy up close, and on the second hand, they also get to talk with native speakers. And I think that's valuable on 2 levels. We pay for the travel and the lodging. Tomorrow I'll give some more details about who to contact and how to schedule it. Another one, if you can't come to Yekaterinburg, is our Ask America program. And we simply set up a Skype session with your class, and probably me, maybe one of my colleagues, but probably me, I will answer any questions they have. It can be on a theme or a topic of your choice. I just need to know in advance so I can answer questions. And that's also another maybe interesting activity that's different for the students. They're engaging you every day, but they sometimes need a new face and need something different. And in the past, we've also had contests where we've set out a theme for English students to make a video or write an essay, and then the winners who we chose from our region go to the United States for a week or 2 with their teacher. We haven't launched that yet, but we might this year or the next year. So when I say it's important to us, we have, I'm serious, we invest a lot of money in these programs. One of my colleagues is here, maybe she's with the Access students. Lisa, she's an English language fellow. And if you live in a town where you have a university, then it's possible to attract and recruit an English language fellow. And again, I'll go into the details about how you do that. English language fellows are PhD students of English. They help with university faculty on curriculum development and coursework, but they also will make visits to secondary schools to help you. So I think that's happened in the past with some of our colleagues here. Another great program that not many people know about is the Fulbright English Teaching Assistant program. These are young Americans who usually have an English background or some type of teaching background, but not always. And again, they work at the university as an assistant, as a native speaker who helps with the programs, and they will most definitely come to your school if they're allowed to. They're a great resource. My previous post to Russia was in Latvia, and we had 3 English teaching assistants. They live in the town. They lived in the towns with the students, and they become part of that community for an entire academic year. So that's another great resource. Again, here in Russia, it's a little different than Latvia. They work at the university level, but then you can create partnerships with them at other schools. So it's kind of a short talk, but I just wanted to tell you, I appreciate the work you do. I think you're playing a key role in developing the next generation to create international partnerships, to create more dialogue between countries. And like, as we know, you speak Russian, I speak Russian, but with both sides understand each other's language just a little bit better, it's so much better. I can personally say that I think I understand Slavic culture, Russian culture. I studied Bulgarian and Serbo-Croatian and Russian. And I have a much deeper appreciation and understanding for Eastern Europe and Russia than if I didn't know anything, if I didn't know the language. And I think that has to be the same. If your students are studying English, they'll know more about the culture, they'll know more about our peculiarities, our uniqueness, and it just brings us that much closer together. So with that, thank you for your attention.